Hey everyone, what's going on? Ash here from MEOdyssey, and today I'll be doing a Q&A video in regards to my hands-on time with Mass Effect Andromeda. This has been slightly delayed because, as you can probably hear, I've been a little bit sick over the last week, so I've had to take some time away to rest. I'm at a point where I can basically talk without coughing every 4 seconds, so I'm going to try my best to try and get as many questions answered as possible. I'm going to be aiming for 20 questions, and I'm going to avoid any story spoilers, and I'm also going to be not answering anything in terms of multiplayer because I didn't get to play it, anything in terms of character creator because I didn't get to see it, and in terms of PC specs because they've since been released since our hands-on video went up. So those kind of questions won't be answered, but anything else I'll try and answer as best I can. So without further ado, let's get to it. So first question comes from Basti, or Drunken Monkey on Twitter, and they ask, do the planets have a day-night cycle and dynamic weather? The only experience I got with any kind of dynamic weather was on the planet Aladdin, which is the desert planet that you've pretty much all seen by now. It's been in most, if not all, of the trailers at some point or another. But there was the problem I had with my armour not being good enough to basically keep me alive in the heat. So unfortunately, that was the only instance of dynamic weather I got. Did make it very interesting because it meant I had to kind of hide in the shadow of the landed Tempest, or I had to basically cheese it as fast as possible to the nearest building or nearest shady area there as well. So it was a very interesting dynamic to have, but I'm sure with upgrades and stuff, you could go to that planet without any issues at all once you've upgraded your armour enough. Next question comes from Elven Tempest on Twitter. They asked, based on your time with characters, do any of the women seem romanceable by Sarah Ryder? I got to play Sarah Ryder. There were a couple of instances where I felt there could have been a romantic option with the female members of the crew, i.e. PB, Vetra and others as well. But I didn't get anywhere into any kind of depth with them. It was like a, first name, hi, how you doing? I really like you. And it kind of, that's as far as it went kind of thing. So I don't know anything in depth about it, but it seems like there'll be at least as many options for Sarah as there is for Scott. So fingers crossed. Next question comes from Jackdaw Journalism, and they ask, what's the relationship like between Alec Kreider and Playable Ryder? I only got to experience a small part of this because I did get to play basically the entire intro of the game, and Alec Kreider is very stern, he's very focused, he knows what needs to be done, but at the same time he has a caring side for his kids as well, so he's always got time to tell his kids how proud he is of them. And next 3 questions come from Gareth, or at Eric_Vicarian on Twitter, and they ask, did you spend a lot of time on the Tempest? Yes, I did, because I really liked being there. And did you hear a lot of banter? I did indeed as well, yes. The banter is very good in the game. I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of it when you're in kind of like what I call rest mode, so not on a mission and just kind of hanging out on the Tempest and things like that. There is a lot of very funny, very cheeky banter between squad mates, and I really enjoyed it personally. And last question from Gareth was, between which 2 characters was your fave banter? This definitely came from Jarl and Drac's conversation while I was driving around on a planet in the Nomad, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I think you guys will kind of know what I'm talking about when the game comes out and you'll get there. It's just a very funny conversation, something you wouldn't fully expect from Drac or Jarl, to be honest. So yeah, I personally enjoyed that very much, and it went on for quite a while as well, because I was driving for a good kind of 5-10 minute period while I was just kind of acclimatized into the area, having a look around, and they were talking pretty much the entire time. So I really enjoyed that particular kind of conversation between those 2. So far we've had 6 questions, including those 3 from Gareth. Moving on to question 7 from Diego Cash. In your gut feeling right now, which squad mate do either of you 2 are attracted to and feel would romance on your first playthrough? Slightly weirdly worded question, but I get what you mean. So who would be romance in the first playthrough? For me personally, whether I play Sarah or Scott, I'm going for Jarl. no matter what. Everyone knows by now. They've seen the video. They've heard Sweet Space Banging. Come on. And I will also be trying potentially Vetra as well. And with the news recently that's come out that there is one night stands, so you don't specifically just have to go for that full-time relationship with a character. You can go for the one night stands, have a bit of flirtatious back and forth. I like that idea. So Vetra and Jarl on my first playthrough, and I'm probably a bit of a space whore, so I'm just going to go for everyone in my second playthrough. So haha. Next question number 8 comes from Malik, or Relay314 on Twitter. Did you get to meet the Pathfinders of the other species? I met one. It was the Solarian Pathfinder, but there is a big story element attached to not the character, but the part I played in that game, because it was part of the game I wasn't supposed to play, which everyone did. But mainly because it was a full build of the game. The BioWare staff didn't mind, but there is a big mission attached to that particular meeting of that character. Not saying he's integral to that part of the mission or the story, but it is attached to a bigger part of the story, which I'm not going to go into. But yes, I did get to meet the Pathfinder of the Solarian arc. Next question comes from Pet Moore on Twitter, and they ask, did the issue with facial animations diminish the level of immersion in the game? For me, no. Not at all. No, it was very minor. I would akin the eye movement problem that I noticed to the same eye movement problem from Mass Effect 3, but I thought that was hilarious, and I love the fact that they kept it in the game. So it really didn't pull me out of the immersion of the game at all. The facial animation problems I noticed were very minor, and after getting a direct message from Aaron Flynn asking me what I thought, I was very honest. I said I enjoyed the game, but I did notice some animation issues with the faces and the eyes. He said that there already was a fix and a patch ready and raring to go on launch day, so I trust that those issues have been sorted out for a while now. Next question comes from Adam Hildenbrand, and they ask, your 4 hours spent with Mass Effect Andromeda, did you play on WASD or gamepad? Which did you prefer? I only played using the Xbox One controller on what was a PC unit. I actually was really happy with the control layout on the Xbox One controller. I didn't feel the need to change that layout at any point. It wasn't uncomfortable, or I wasn't like, damn, I need to change this over as soon as possible, because it felt absolutely fine to me. In terms of the WASD controls, I did not use PC controls, but the person in front of me on the other desk did use PC controls for about an hour, and he seemed to be absolutely fine with them there as well. I did have a brief word with him. He was from another gaming publication, and he seemed like he was very happy with both controls if you're using a controller, and controls if you're using a PC as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so moving on to number 10. This comes from Kirky, or @KirkyV on Twitter, and they ask, what were the quests, main or side quests, you got to play like, generally speaking, in terms of dialogue, story, heaviness, and so on? Specifically, I only got to play 2 side quests, but I will say that they are much improved on the trilogy side quests of basically being fetch quests and things like that. So there's a lot more depth and personal interest in them, and I was very happy to play them and go through them and spend time on them. I am a big proponent of just playing the main story first, and then on my second playthrough then going back and maybe doing some side quests and stuff like that. So I don't normally feel the pull to go and do the side quests. On this particular occasion and with this particular game, it seems like I will be spending more time than I've ever spent before actually putting some concentration into side quests as well as the main quests as well. So yeah, so they were very good in my opinion, and story-wise was very good. There was a lot of dialogue there as well, so there's a lot of banter and chat and all that kind of stuff to keep you really immersed in the game as well. So yeah. Next question comes from Mitch Adams, and they ask, not sure if this is too late, but GameSpot mentioned a high variety of technical issues. Did you find the same? For this question, I personally think that everyone just had their own differing experience. I had very little in the way, if any, technical issues at all. I may have just been lucky, I don't know. But the only problem I had was right at the beginning, where I wasn't getting sound through my headphones, and it turned out I was connected to the PC next to me rather than the PC in front of me. So that was the only I would call technical issue that I had, and that was sorted out very quickly. So I did not experience any technical issues. I know that a few other outlets and publications did, but I think they kind of vary between there being quite a few to being a handful to being barely any at all. I was in the category of barely any at all, if any at all. So no, I didn't experience anything. Next question comes from Shiny Whiny Woo on Twitter, and they ask, Hannah, are there? I must know, with their Twitter profile picture being a Hannah with googly eyes. But as far, I didn't see any Hannah at all, I'm afraid. Not saying that they're not in the game, I don't know. But there are many mysteries still yet to be revealed about Mass Effect Andromeda, and the Hannah are probably one of them, as well as the Quarians, which I did ask the question about whether they are in the game or not. If you want to hear the response, go and check out my interview with Fabrice Condominis, where I do ask him whether there are Quarians in the game, and I'll link that at the end of the video so you can go and watch that as well. Next question comes from Hajil Taylor, hope I pronounced that name correctly. They ask, how good is the armour they start you out in for Ryder? So they start you in the bog standard armour, which is the blue and white Andromeda Initiative armour that you see pretty much in all the videos and trailers and things like that at the moment. Obviously you can absolutely customise that as you go along, as you research elements and materials and things like that, but you're basically started with your bog standard blue and white AI armour at the beginning of the game. So it's okay, but you're going to need upgrades as you go along. Okay, so to finish off these last 6 questions or so, we're going to be moving on to the comment section. These are comments that I didn't get around to answering when the video first came out at the time. So the first question comes from Commander Critic, and they ask only one question: can you pick different first names for your rider? Like, you don't have to go with Sarah or Scott. As far as I'm aware, you can change the first name, but I think it's only if you have your own customized character. If you stick with the standard character models, which is the Sarah and Scott that we've all seen and known for months now, then you will, I believe, have to stick with those names. Not 100% sure on that. I didn't see any evidence of that in the time I played the game, but I'm pretty sure the devs have said at some point that you can change the first names. So hopefully, question answered there, hopefully. Now this next comment is from Marissa on YouTube. Not really a question, more of a comment, but one I did kind of point out on the original hands-on video. This was, yay, new sticky cover. The cover system is very good, I really enjoyed it. I only had one experience where I kind of got a little bit stuck, but I very easily got out of it. Unlike playthroughs of Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3, where I would rage constantly because I kept getting stuck on cover and walls. I wouldn't vault over the cover that I was currently hiding behind. So this system is a lot easier to use. I'm a lot happier with it. I'm not saying there aren't going to be issues with it, but there's going to be a lot less issues than you had in the Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 trilogies. So yes, there's something to look forward to, definitely, with the new cover system. One comment as well, it is a question, this comes from Daft Tooth. This may have been something on my part that I miscommunicated. So they say so you can get all the squad members in the first 4 hours. I don't believe that's the case. It's purely because my 4 hours were different sections of the game. So I played the full intro of the game, I played a section that was kind of in the middle of the game, and then I accidentally played a bit that was a lot further along in the game, but not near the ending. So yeah, so I played different sections that were kind of far apart from each other. So you wouldn't necessarily get all the squad mates in the first 4 hours, as far as I'm aware. So that's just the way I played it. I played my first thing, I only had my kind of initial Andromeda Initiative crew, and then they load me up on another save, which is a lot further in the game, and then I had all my crew there so I could have chats with them. It just happened to be, I literally went from a level 1 at the beginning of the game to a save that was a level 16. I jumped 15 levels in one load of a save. Yeah, I did not get all the squad members in the first 4 hours. Next question comes from Tyrannosaurus. Is there a field of view option in there? It's too damn small for me and I had to take a step back to enjoy the footage. I don't know specifically if there is a field of view option, but it depends. A lot of people will say it's probably a bit too close and they need to kind of widen the scope a little bit. Completely understandable. For me personally, I didn't have any major issues with it. A lot of the time when you're running around on the planets and things like that, it's much more improved and it's not really an issue. But when you're kind of walking slowly around and checking things out, maybe then it will kind of come into play a bit more. But me personally, I didn't experience any real issues with it, and hopefully for PC players, because I know they like to change the field of view, and console players alike, hopefully there'll be an option in there for you guys to change it around as well. Next question comes from Troop, and they say, game sounds amazing. My one big concern though is the revamp of the Renegade Paragon dialogue system. How are the speech options like, and are there a variety of outcomes you can achieve, as I feel the game may be more linear than previous ME games? Completely understandable question. The new system feels a lot more, I think the best term for me to use is natural. It opens up for a lot more fluid and natural conversation, and I believe it will open up a lot more dialogue options, whether you're just having general conversation or trying to find specific details out about the particular person you're speaking to or any other information like that. So I just feel like it's a lot more natural, and it just opens a hell of a lot more options in terms of just having a conversation and getting to know someone in general. Next question, and I believe the second to last question, comes from John. I don't care. I see what you did there. And they ask, were there any flirty dialogue options with Drac? Specifically, I didn't get any myself, but there is a tale that comes within the game of little dialogue between Jarl and Drac, where he talks of a broken heart. But that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to leave you to find out what that is in the game, but I really enjoyed that conversation. Okay, and I'm going to make this the last question. This comes from Diego Liao. I hope I pronounced that correctly. There are 3 points in this question, so I'm going to kind of go with them for my last few points and questions there. They say, okay, no story spoilers, that's perfect, but I have to ask, from what you saw and in relation to the original trilogy, can we say that A, the initiative makes sense, follows the lore, and can be considered another story inside that universe? I'm going to take these points one by one. Yes, I feel personally that the initiative does make sense. I don't think it completely removes itself from what is happening within the entire Mass Effect universe. I feel it has its own kind of perfect little world within the Mass Effect universe, so absolutely feel like that all makes sense there. Point B was, it is clearly an attempt to escape the original trilogy. Looks more like a reboot or ignores the lore. I don't think it ignores the lore, because at the end of the day it leaves between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, so they had to have some respect for the lore there. I did see hints and nods throughout what I played and the Mass Effect trilogy and things like that, and yeah, so I'm fully happy with the way they've done it. They haven't ignored things by any stretch, so no worries there. But I don't feel like this is going to be just a whole new removed experience, because at the end of the day it has to exist in a universe that already has the main story 2/3 already happened. So you've already had Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 already happened by the point that the Andromeda Initiative leaves for the Andromeda Galaxy. So they have to have respect for that lore and that story up until that point. Yes, I can see why people would think, oh yes, it's an immediate cutout of the Mass Effect 3 events, and fair enough, a lot of people didn't like Mass Effect 3, or the ending specifically, but I feel like there's a big nod to the original trilogy and the events of Mass Effect 1 and 2 and everything like that as well. So I really don't think it's any kind of point of just trying to get away from the original trilogy, because they leave during the trilogy, so they have to have some sort of respect there. And I think that's basically where I'm going to end it, guys. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. If I did miss any questions, I really am sorry. I've been sick this week, so I've had to take some time off, and I've had to limit the questions I ask in this video. But if you do have any further questions, leave them in the comments on this video, and I will get to them and I will write back to you as soon as I possibly can. I think we've done pretty well in answering most of the questions there. A lot of them were repeats, and a lot of the stuff has already been answered since our hands-on video came out. So yeah, I'll link the Fabrice Condominus interview if you do want to find out his answer to whether there are Quarians in Andromeda or not. And I will also link at the end of the video the hands-on video itself. So if you haven't haven't seen it, you can go and have a look and let us know what you think there as well. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Sorry this has been a little bit delayed. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. Thanks again, we'll see you very soon.